What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. I am here with the great Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., Athletic Director of Bowie State University. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Anytime I'm with you, TP, I'm doing great.
Listen, y'all going to get a lot of us, as a follow-up, from the talk, the rise, the awareness, the impact of HBCU sports. Y'all saw Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., and myself, along with Ms. Mama Wanda Durant, and we talked about the importance of HBCU, the sports, etc. But today, this segment is solely focused on Bowie State in itself.
I'm glad that there is some focus out there on HBCUs, and I'm glad that people are paying attention to what we're trying to achieve here as an educational entity.
And before we talk about the sports side of everything, we want to talk about the academic achievements that your athletic department has been receiving as well, because it's always student first, athlete second. So if you can kind of touch base on the success academically that you guys have been having.
Well, TP, it goes back to my beginning in this business when I was at my other former institution, New York Institute of Technology, where I got my degree. And the first thing I tell student athletes or prospective student athletes when they come through the door, I ask them a question: why are you here? And the only thing I want to hear from them first is that they're here for an education. Now, they'll hear I'm here to play ball, I'm here to do this. And I said, no. You're here to get an education. Yeah, the ball will take care of itself. The sororities will take care of itself. The fraternities will take care of itself. The extracurricular activities will take care of itself. But you got 4 years in college, 5 maybe. But then you got 40 years to do what the rest of us are doing, that your mom and dad are doing. So I preach education, and that's the foundation of what this school was developed as in 1865, as a place for an opportunity for people who were deprived an educational opportunity to have that ability to be upperly mobile and to be part of society without someone holding you down or not allowing you to become who you want to be. So from those roots in Baltimore, Calvert, and Saratoga, and out here to the Jericho Farm, which is now Bowie State University, all the names in between, normal school and this, that, and the third, we have arrived. And this is the whole point of why we're here. If you look at the pillars that Dr. Bro, our president, she speaks about, we're the first HBCU in the state of Maryland, and our pillars are academic excellence, student success, and ensuring the long-time viability of this great institution. If you do the first two, the third will take care of itself. So we got to have academic success, and that's what I base my athletic department on. You can't have athletic participation without academic performance.
Absolutely.
That comes first. So I got to teach these to the students, and sometimes they get a little beside themselves, but we put in place programs such as our academic enhancement program, mentorship programs, tutoral programs, any type of support they need. We have a Bulldog book bank to help them with their books. So all of these things come together, and so our persistence rates, our academic success rates are higher than the normal student body because, we have that carrot that we hold on to, and that carrot is participation. And so we're very proud. We have an AD honor roll, and 3/4 of our student athletes make it to the AD honor roll, which you got to have at least a 3.2 GPA to be in the honor roll every semester. So, and we give out shirts and says, you got grades. And people say, how can I get a shirt? Get grades. Get grades. Get a shirt. And we honor them with a luncheon. And it's really a festive opportunity to invite their faculties. So we want them to be proud of their academic achievements. And that's the same thing the school is doing with the honor roll. Last year, we started a program at our last football game where the honor roll students were given medallions, and they came to the last football game, and we got them out at halftime, and they came through, and everybody was all excited. A lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, parents are all excited because now we're trying to recognize their achievements and the understanding that this is something that is very, very important, not only to them, but to the society at large.
Yes.
And our graduation classes are getting bigger and bigger. And we're trying to get people through this pipeline quicker without them coming in here and spending 5 or 6 years, which is, you're wasting time. And the one thing that none of us can get back is time.
Absolutely.
So the time you step through that door, the time you came in here, you can't get that back. So we're trying to get them to be in the now, because now is the moment that never ends. If you understand your now, you know where you come from, you know why you're here, and you know where you're going.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of philosophy that we're trying to do and enrich into our student athletes.
before I move on to some of the things you said, I do want to touch base, but I want to go back. And you talked about Bowie State being the first HBCU in Maryland. Does that does do Bowie take that with the grain of, we're leading the way, that we are the example, and that we are setting the standard that is the standard for Bowie, but it's a standard that can be duplicated for success, or to have a mindset of success? Because I think a stigma with HBCUs, and I've heard this from a couple of different Division I coaches, is that HBCUs is more about the athletics, but Bowie State talk more about the academic, which is a big highlight because, as you said, you can't get on the field unless you have the grades. So you have to have the grades, but it's about excelling, not just meeting that low bearing fruit standard to getting on the field.
We're just a subset of this university. We have 6,400 students, 300 student athletes. So we're part of the bigger picture, and we got to fit into that picture and fit in the picture. If you look at what Dr. Bro and all my vice presidents, my colleagues are doing, especially as a provost in the academic setting, Adobe, BG&E, all these folks are coming in here looking for interns. They're looking for our student athletes to intern with them because they understand the value of what we have right here. We bring diversity to a lot of these companies that they don't have. And not only is the diversity piece, but our students get in and do extremely well with them. So that sets the standards and brings us up. Being the first, we're proud of being the first HBCU in the state of Maryland. There's a lot of competition. You got Morgan, Howard's in DC. They're not really in Maryland, but
Right.
They're right at the cusp. You could throw a rock at them from the DC, from
Right.
the borderline. You got the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, on the other side. So we have these HBCUs. So there was a time when people questioned the relevancy, the validity of an HBCU. But we have a place here. We still entertaining first generation students, which, to me in 2023 is like unheard of. No one in your family has went to college before? No. So we have to grab them by the hand, bring them in, understand that this is a culture where you don't have to question your blackness.
Yes.
Whether you go to other schools, why is your hair like that? Why are you doing it? Why that's none of this here. We have our own issues. There's no question about it. But we're trying to give them a comfortable space for them to achieve success. And that's just what this whole educational piece is all about. It's just not education from an academic perspective. It's education to educate you on how to function in society. So that's what the goal is, so they can get out and be positive, productive citizens in a very complex and diverse and evolving society. As you already know, things are changing on. We just talked about what's going on in the political sense. So you got to have awareness of where you're at and what's going on and how it affects you, And the things people talk about when they get in the real world, I always dislike that statement. They're in the real world. This is their real world. This is their now. We have to make sure that when they step over to the next phase of their lives, they're ready out there. They complain about this, but when they get about that, they're not going to bring nobody listening to them out there.
Listen to the complaint.
Nobody's going to listen to them, but they cry about fees and this and that thing. And I was having this conversation with a young man today about fees. I said, what do you think fees are? What do you think your taxes are?
Fees.
They're fees. What do you think when you
go out to eat?
It's a fee. What do you think when they charge you on your credit card? It's a fee.
It's an extra fee.
When you buy your house, points. That's a fee. So everything is attached to some kind of element where people are making money, but you got to understand how you need to manage yourself. And management is the key, not just from a book perspective or a business perspective, but how you manage your life, how you manage your relationships, how you manage your finances.
Absolutely.
All this thing is managing. You need to understand your value as a person because you're the most important person in your life. And if you don't understand that, you can't do nothing for nobody, your mama, your sister, your children, nobody. So it's not narcissistic, it's realistic. So once we understand that, we can move forward and be the kind of person that we want to be.
The thing that I love, and one of the things that I love about Mr. Doughty Jr. is that when you talk to him, you could tell by his passion, his energy, that of the things that are important to him. And albeit, he is the athletic director, this is not the first time that we've had a conversation on the academic piece. And he is more gung-ho about the academic piece than the athletic piece, and not because one is over the other, but his passion for the success and the maturation of our younger generations, older generations, anyone that comes through Bowie State, that is seeking to get a degree, the importance and the will to want that to happen. It's not a facade. It's not a show. It is who he is, and that's what really drives me to the energy with Mr. Doughty is because he's not looking at it from a standpoint on okay, bring your talents to Bowie State and help us win championships or basketball or softball or bowling. He is what is your goal in the life after college, which may not include sports. And that starts with what you do within the classroom, how you prepare yourself mentally, how you prepare yourself to go beyond the life. Because as he said, college is the real world as well. It's not a fake world because at the end of the day, you are your own individual. You have to get yourself up. You have to motivate. In those days when you don't feel motivated, that's the real world to me.
And TP, you hit on why I do what I do. Prime example, Amir Hall. Why was he one of the greatest quarterbacks we've had at Bowie State University. 2-time Black College Player of the Year. Finished degree early. Took a shot at the NFL, didn't get it, but he got his degree. Yeah. And he's doing very, very well. When he comes back and I see him, I'm so proud of him because he understood that I had a great career, but now I need to move on with something that is tangible. Yeah. You can't leave here and spend all this time without something tangible. And what does a degree get you, TP?
Oh, it gives you the keys to success for life.
Not really. What it does is get you a spot in a room with a bunch of other people with a degree. And when you go for your job, you're sitting around an application and you hope you get chosen to first get an interview based upon what you've done in college, your credentials, your portfolio. Yeah. So all of these things come into play. So then when you get that opportunity, you get the interview, now you're all over, you're trying out again. That's why athletes are so successful because they're used to trying out. They're used to competing. Certain people don't have that pressure gets to them. So I understand that pressure, man. I want to start. I want to make this team. So if I want to make this next team, I got to go in there ready, prepared. I got to practice. And if I don't practice, I'm not productive. So they got to produce. And they understand those whole values. That's why a lot of athletes, I had an employer tell me one time, she said, I'll take a B student athlete over an A student anytime who's not an athlete. And he said, because they understand the discipline. They've worked hard because they've had more to do outside of academics to get that B. So they get it. And that's the same thing with the Army. All of those things that are regimented, they develop discipline in you to understand that I have to be time managed to achieve my goals. So all of that comes into play. And you're absolutely right. When it comes down to choices, and I look at the choices, athletic. Last year, people can't even tell you who won the Super Bowl last year. Who won the Super Bowl last year? Who won this last year? They don't even know. They talk about now. They talk about we're trying to do this now. That's done. They don't have their rings and they don't have their parades and their parties. We're right here. Right. So that's the point of life, man. Life moves on. I mean, we all go through this period of time that we've had this success, and I call it the maze of life. We have the joy and pain, sunshine and rain. Those are the elements. That's the maze. That's it right there. You got it all right there wrapped up, and we're all going to go through it. We're going to have joy, we're going to have pain. It's going to be raining, it's going to be sunshine. So you got to take all of that together, and you got to manage it.
Told y'all, man. Listen, Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., he be on it. Before we transition to anything sports related, I did want to touch on, you talked about some of the programs that you guys have set up for the students who are excelling or to help them excel. Can you kind of run that down as well? Because everything that we do, we call it the All Access Bowie State University sports. Of course, it's a sports channel, but we do provide, and we will also provide educational piece as well to give you the tools and the keys to success and the resources that you would need before and during so. So any, high school students who's watching this, we're talking to kids from Flowers, from Bowie High School to Wise. When you talk about the keys to helping them exceed and excel, and you ran off a couple different clubs that you have. And one thing that I did like before you can run those clubs down for me again, is that the recognition of the hard work that you put into the classroom. Yes, your grade is the result of that, but it's always good to have that. Like you said, you guys do a luncheon, or even the halftime. At halftime last year, when they came on to the field and they received their pens, like those are those are feel good moments. Like all of the hard work and dedication and time that I put in and commitment is paying off, and it's a feel good feeling about it. So you can kind of touch base on those programs that you ran down again to highlight, for highlighting of those areas in which how the academic pedestal and the importance of the academics with Bowie State. But not only is it important for you to get, but we're going to help you get there. We're going to help give you the tools, or try to give you the tools to help you attain that.
Well, first, this is an educational entity. This whole place, Bowie State University. So no one's coming here just to play sports. That's something you can do outside of here. But if you want to come here, you got to have the mindset that you got to have this balance, life in a balance, and you got to be able to do both at the same time. So right then and there, I know as an administrator, as a role model, I have to put things in place, find the resources to put them in place. So when I first got here, I found that there was a deficit of academic success, and I tried to get to the bottom of it. One of the things was resources, books. Certain people had books, some people had first generation students. They're struggling because they don't have the support back home. Not because the people don't want to support them, because they just don't have the resources.
Right.
So I started this program called the Bulldog Book Bank, where you take books, you put them in the library. It was twofold: providing the necessary tools for you to get your work. If you couldn't buy the book on your own, you can go in the library, use it, copy the pages that you need. You can't take the book out,
right? But
it's twofold. Now I'm bringing you into the library. So there may be something else in the library you can do. You got your librarians and all these other people, those resources in there to help you with your work. So we started that, and that's been successful. We started the AD Honor Roll to recognize people who have done great work in the classroom and support them and say, look, we understand that not only you great athletes and you're making All-American and All-Conference and All-CIAA and all this, but the academic piece is just as important to us, and we want to recognize that and give you a luncheon and T-shirts and things of that nature, and put you out on our website and your names and things of that nature. The parents are like, whoa, look at my child, look, and they feel proud about themselves. We started a mentorship program where we have mentors for alums who come in and work with our students who need some support, or connect them to folks who are doing things in the field that they want to be in. We've worked with the academic folks on campus, the deans and stuff like that, to get them to work with our student athletes on a more of a one-to-one basis, and they've been very receptive to that also too. Well, what else are we doing? We do the lecture series, where we have people come in on a regular basis and sit with our student athletes in a lecture series and talk about their experience. Former student athletes that come in and talk about what they've been through, how they performed, and what is needed to move on. And that's been very successful. So a lot of these things took a turn during COVID, because we're still coming out of COVID, man.
Right.
From a financial perspective, from a mindset perspective, from a mental health perspective, we're still working our way. I remember listening to the experts and said, this is going to be a trickle effect. There's going to be a wave that's going to trickle out for many years from COVID. And we're still in that space. The inflation is hit, the mindset is hit. Mental health has always been around TP for a long time. But then it's become this buzzword now since COVID, because it really impacted us in ways that people just didn't realize. We didn't realize how important we were to each other. Just going outside and seeing people, locked away, and when it happened, TP, everybody said, oh man, I'm going home. This is great.
Right.
But not only were you home, but everybody
was home.
Mom, dad, sister, grandma, uncle. People were trying to do their work in the bathroom. They were in their cars doing their work. It was really a challenge. And thank God we had technology like we have today. God knows where we would have been, because we could still teach and connect to each other.
Right.
If this happened back in the 70s, we would have shut in, and God knows. So things happen when they're supposed to happen for a reason, and you can't question it at all, but you just got to manage it. So all those programs that we're doing, our coaches are taking a very aggressive. I just got a grant from Adobe that I'm putting in place some centers downstairs. They're going to be learning centers where each team is going to have their own space with equipment, so they can come in and have one-on-one interaction with each other and tutors in their sets. Because the softball team trains together, they work together, they learn together. So if I get them together in their own spaces, I think that they'll be more successful. I want to turn their locker room spaces into a learning space as well. Just not a place where they just come and lay down, but every week, maybe twice a week, there's going to be programming in their locker rooms, right where they're comfortable at. They're going to have desks and computers in there also too, where they can do their work and be self-sustainable right there. Wow. So that's the concept working with Adobe, and they were, I sold it to them, and they were very happy about it. And the goal is to see how the outcomes. The goal is to see how it impacts the GPAs of our student athletes and their ability to finish in a timely fashion. So yeah, and our highest achieving team last year was our softball team. I think their GPA was 3.5 across the board. They did very well. And we have some very difficult majors in it. Nursing is a very difficult major with a lot of labs. And we have a young lady who just, it makes you prideful when you see that they don't question the intensity of the responsibilities they have when they go to class and they just leave class and they go practice and they get practice, they pick up stuff and go and do what they got to do. That's what makes you feel so proud of your student athletes when they do those things. So those are just some of the programs that we're doing. And our community service, I'm very proud. All these things that I just mentioned are run by our Assistant Athletic Director for Student Success, Ms. Wanda Renee Howard. She's very involved with the students on that basis, and she does a lot of work in the community. And I think that's another big piece that people don't think. Volunteerism is critical and crucial. When you put your portfolio together, when you start putting these volunteer things down, I just had a young man, Joseph, if I'm saying his name right. I was at the Raven game with my cousin on this past Sunday, and I'm walking out of the stadium at the end of the game, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder. That was him. He got a job with the Ravens organization, and he volunteered with Dr. Jolissa Williams in her media relations department. And she was volunteering and got him because he was able to put this on the portfolio, and he learned some things, and he's a great young man. And I was so happy to see him. And that's another aspect that students don't realize. Yeah, internships, getting paid. Everybody wants to get paid. When am I getting paid? People ask me what they're getting paid before they even know what the job is. Like, let me tell you what the job is all about first, So,
oh man, that's the worst right there.
Yeah. When I started out, I volunteered every place I could TP to learn about the business. The pay will come along, and it has come along for me, and I'm very grateful for it. But I've got great guys who mentored me and took me under their wings and said, look, this is what you got to learn if you want to move ahead in this business. And that's what I try to get across to these young men. So volunteerism is another big aspect of what they need to do for their portfolio development, and also to the community service out there, because those are big things that people look at, because now you volunteered your time. You gave up yourself without getting paid to help others.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's amazing when you have individuals who are not related to you, who care just as much about your growth and maturation educationally before anything else. Because when you talk about the students, like I said before, your passion, you can tell by conversations that anytime we do talk sports, and albeit, the first thing Mr. Doughty Jr. touches on is the academic piece first before anything. Like, regardless of what the section, the segment, the conversation, the topic is, you can't have athletics without academics. And the fact that, you guys, you meaning you, yourself, Miss Renee, whom we love, also Dr. Williams, and the fact that, you are open, available, and willing to mentor and pass down the knowledge that you have. Because again, I always tell people when it comes to being a blessing, you have to be a blessing to receive a blessing. And so a lot of the things like, I talk with Push, we do a lot of homeless, whether we're doing homeless feedings or, whether we're doing our picks and push it back, where we're giving out free backpacks, free haircuts for school supplies, free bikes. It's more so because, academically, we understand the importance of how it looks upon us and what we are already subjected to not do. So playing a part in another person's life that you have no connection to is major. You're being a blessing when you really could have took that, honed it, kept it to yourself like a lot of other selfish individuals do. But instead, you go above and beyond your job description, your job duties. You care about the students as if they're your own children.
Hey, anybody in this business who escalates to any type of position, if they tell you that they got there on their own, they're a doggone liar. I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people who have faith in me, who looked upon me and said, you can do this. I remember when I first started out, I started at the PWI, I was a student athlete there, and because I was an athlete, you had the confidence already. So I said I wanted to be in this business. I finished up my 4 years of playing. I still had a year to graduate. My coach was the AD at the time, so he hears it a lot. People say, yeah, I want to stick around, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. So he said, okay. He was from Missouri, not really from Missouri, but he was from the show me state. So you show me what you're working with, show me what you got. And I did, and I ran around every place. I learned. I was in the training room, I was in the equipment room, I was on the finance room, I was at compliance, I was in administration, I was in budget. I just learned, I just wanted to soak it up to see if this is something I could do. They rewarded me with a job. I remember my first job, $15,000, my first job as assistant athletic director for academic success as an advisor. And I was the richest guy in the world. $15,000, 1982. You couldn't tell me a thing.
He's telling his age now. He said 1982.
1982 when I got that first job. And I remember when I went on my first meeting, when I became assistant AD, he sent me out to this convention. And I walked into the room, TP. And you know when the music is playing in the movie, you open the door,
you feel like everything stops, and all attention is on you.
You looking at them, and they looking at you. Those old white
and they looking like, who is this?
What you doing here,
right.
boy?
You're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place. But that was a learning point for me because I said, they're not going to tell me my worth. They're not going to tell me that I couldn't do this. And when I sat down and I started listening to them, I'm just as smart as these cats. I had a better 10 than they did, and that's it. And from that point on, you couldn't tell me anything. But I always wanted to emulate success. So I hitched my wagon up. If somebody was messing up and going that way, Clyde Doughty ain't going that way. He's going this way. Life is a Y. You go down the stem of the Y till you get to the V. And that V, you go this way or you go that way. And based upon your lived experience, you got to make a decision. Why am I go this way and why am I not going that way? And then when you go down there, it starts all over again. That Y keeps going and going and spreading, and that's your decision-making process. So I was not going to let anybody determine my worth. I had to do that for myself. And I was able to have that confidence, and people then surrounded me with, they should see your progress. And like the young man I talked about at the Ravens Stadium, when he ran up on me, I put my arms around him because I was proud of him. I just had another young man who graduated and finished his master's in ROTC, play on our club lacrosse team. I'm so freaking proud of him, man. I put my arms around. He looks different. He sounds different. He just looks the part now. And that's what you want to see. A young freshman comes in here tentative, doesn't know his right from his left, back from forward. But now they understand they're standing firm in their shoes right now because they have got the foundation. Because I tell people, like I was telling a young man today, I ain't never seen a house that starts with the roof. I ain't never seen a foundation start with the roof. Yeah. You got to start with the foundation. You got to build it up. And you got to walk them steps until you get to the roof. And that's the point of self-actualization. As the Maslow's pyramid, as you go up, you got to have all of those things in place before you can get to the top.
This is cool, Mac.
In the house.
Cool, Mac. So when we talk about and we transition over to athletics, and we talk about the success that the athletic department has had. Tennis and bowling did very well last year as well. The track team, basketball didn't go as we planned. Football didn't go as we planned. But it's all a process, and they have some good pieces, some foundational pieces that they can build on. When you talk about from your position and being the AD, can you talk about some of the challenges that you may go through from the perspective of your duties?
Well, first of all, we might lose a game or two, but Bowie State University is never, ever defeated.
No, not at all.
Never defeated. So we march on. And we go in there with the greatest anticipation of being successful. The outcomes might not be what we want them at times, but we leave pridefully. We go back to the drawing board and make it work. So what's happening on our scale? We talked about earlier the trickle effect of the COVID, the inflation has hit us badly. I mean, prices just skyrocketed with travel, which is your hotels and your eating, apparel is going off the roof. Our budgets. Bowie State University is a state entity. People don't realize that we're an auxiliary part of the university system, which auxiliary gets no state dollars. Our funding is based upon fees from the student body. So every year I got to go in front of the student body. And I thought I had a nice little chunk of change next year, but for this year to help support the needs that we just mentioned about the inflation needs. But the governor awarded a cost of living across the board and a merit raise, which on the state side, they fund that. On our side, I had to find the money for it. So it cut into my budget. So having said that, we're trying to do more things outside of the fees, the revenue, which is 99.9% comes from the student fees. We're trying to do more things. Gifts like we had from Mama Durant and the Durant Family Foundation to improve our gymnasium, it's a godsend. I mean, those kind of gifts, but we need something that's sustainable every year to support scholarships, first of all, which we can go out and recruit players in state. We want to keep those young men and women in state who want to stay in state. We want to go out of state and bring some of those quality athletes into the area, because when you come into this area, it's a beautiful area to you.
Absolutely.
You got DC, 20 minutes up the road. You got Baltimore, 30, 35 minutes that way. You got Annapolis, the capital. And
it's a beautiful campus.
Beautiful campus. And when you get on, that's what I like. That's what I try to do as much in the way of bringing programs and young people on campus. Because when they get on campus, they be like, wow. There used to be a time when you couldn't see anything on 97 until they built the ELLC building, the Entrepreneurial Learning Center up top. And people said, oh, I didn't know Bowie was back there. They just see a road going up the street with a sign. They didn't know it was back there. But now Dr. Bro's vision is that we need to put us out on that 187, because I think, I don't trust me, but there's like 50, 100, so many cars pass by there every single day. And now people, when I mention Bowie, say, yeah, I see a new building there. I see you on campus. So sometimes now people will drive up in here and just drive around. Wow, just the diversity we've had at opening up our pool. Dr. Bro's vision. We're going to put that pool in place. We want to learn, we want young men and women to learn how to swim. We want to have programs, but also diversify ourselves, because folks who are swimmers in the neighborhood now come on campus and they go, wow, this is a great place. They're walking around. Nobody bothers them. They're having a great freaking time. I sit out there and talk to the mothers and the fathers. It's a wonderful opportunity. So athletically, yeah, we've had our good run. 3-time football championship, 5 times in a row bowling championship. The softball team won the championship last year. Tennis has went to the championship 2 years ago. I mean, the track team is getting themselves back together. We've had a couple of cross-country runners to do very well. The basketball teams early on, they were doing well. They've had a couple of off years this last couple of years, but they're right in the thick of things. We participate in one of the best athletic conferences, Division II in the country. You can't want from better than CIAA, especially when you get down to the basketball tournament. Come on,
Absolutely.
there's nothing like the CIAA tournament for homecoming of black folk to get together, to enjoy themselves. And we still get folks who are from the schools that aren't participating in the Norfolks and the Hamptons and all that. When they used to be the CIAA, they still associate with the CIAA, which is a great thing. And they enjoy the tournament, they enjoy the festivities, they enjoy the commonality. It's a homecoming. I get to see my family. And this is a family. It's the CIAA family. It's the legacy. So all of those things make us who we are. And we're trying to put our arms around all of these things and provide better resources. You talked about the look. We want to make sure our athletes look the part. So when you look the part, you feel the part, you produce also too.
But they say you look good, you play good.
I tell people right now, people come to me and say, look, man, you look good. I said, look, I ain't got it, but I got to look like I got it. I got to look like I got it. So I'm trying the best. I'm trying to get our athletes in a space where they feel good about themselves, and it's going to take some resources. And I think working with our Vice President for Philanthropic Engagement, Mr. Vice President Brent Swinton, and his team, we're doing a better job of cultivating relationships out here so people are starting to buy in. We got to tell our stories. HBUC's got to tell our own story. Devices like you're using right now allow us to do that, where we used to have to rely upon newspapers that didn't want to cover us,
Yeah,
only when
absolutely.
there's something wrong. We had to rely on the media and TV only when they felt that they wanted or they had nothing else to do.
But not only that, though, the narrative, they weren't telling the narrative to just to in good faith of the university. They're telling a narrative of someone who's not affiliated, doesn't really have an idea of the ins and outs of the schools. And that's where I believe a lot of the miscommunication, the misconcepts, everything about HBCUs come from. And we spoke briefly about that too at the CBC, because one of the things that you touched on that I'm glad you brought back up is the ideal of when people ride past Bowie State and they see the new buildings and they like, smell like money. But as he said, Bowie State is a state university, which means the athletic department being an auxiliary, they are not awarded any of that money that goes to the university. That's educational. So when people like Ms. Durant, the Durant family, it has to be a direct give to the athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
So just because the university receives money does not mean it trickles down to the athletic department. In order for the athletic department to receive funding, it has to be directly stated that this is for the athletic department or this is for the basketball team or whichever it is, but it has to be specifically said. Is that correct?
That's definitely correct. And you look at things like the coalition fund that just got approved or a couple years ago, where all this money that was neglectfully not given to HBCUs over a period of time from an academic perspective flowed to the school. People just see that big dollar sign and say, oh man, they're rich already. But that's not the case over a period of time, one thing. Also, too, that money is directed towards academics. Nobody else can get that money. So it's going to help us in one breath, but it doesn't help us in other things we need. So we still got facility. We got deferred maintenance problems we have around here. We got aging buildings. We're putting up new buildings, but we still got our old buildings around here. And they need work and upkeep. This isn't old. This building's been around since 1975. So it's built well, but the configuration and you need new boilers and new this and the roof goes, and so you got to find money to do all those things with. So those are the things we want: sustainable income, and want somebody to join with us. My goal right now, for this athletic department, the gym is looking really fabulous with the new seats and the new floor that Kevin Durant was putting in. We did some things in our press box. We're going to do some things with branding around also too, with some of the funds that are coming in. We need a new football stadium.
Absolutely.
If I have my druthers, if I am successful, and not to say that we haven't been successful at this point, but I want to build a 15,000 seat football stadium with all the bells and whistles down there. And so it would be attractive. Because sometimes you don't need all the scholarship dollars. People will pay in a little bit and say, this is where I want to play.
Absolutely.
I like it here, so I'll spend a little money. I'll take out a loan or two to, I get my parents to cough up some guitars to come into this, because this is a nice place for me to be. But if you don't have nothing to offer, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You got to give them something to get, something. So we are in that space where that's my goal. Working with, like I said, the VP Swinton and his team, and working with some consultants, we're trying to put them things together. I think the message, like you said, we have to get folks to understand that we're self-sufficient. We don't get funding from the state. We have to raise every dollar. It's got to be direct and specific towards athletics. Even if you say, look, like the Durant, that gift was for the gym. That's fine. That's money that I don't have to take and try to find to enhance the gym. So now that's out the way. We can have a better situation, better seating. We can make more revenue from these quality seats we put in here. Mm-hmm. It enhanced. We had 2,200 seats. We added another 100 seats to it. So we have 2,300 seats in our AC Jordan Arena with the Kevin Durant floor. Kevin was on the floor working out with his AAU team this summer. It was a wonderful opportunity to have him. He's a wonderful young man. It's a blessing, being here in Prince George's County and giving back to where he used to play here on this floor growing up.
And the key word too is that Kevin Durant did not go to an HBCU. He went to Texas. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he, not being a product of an HBCU, still have HBCU love, and he understands the importance of historically black colleges and universities as well.
Well, that's critical because his mother, and she's a preacher. You can hear Dr. Mama Durant speak, and she understands the value. Yeah, her son went to a high functioning school because he went to the next level, and you couldn't get that here right now. And then we're blessed, but then he understands the value of growing up and playing in these neighborhoods. And a lot of kids aren't going to. We don't have a lot of Kevin Durant's. They're one in a million, and they come along. How many people are playing pro ball like him? The size and the skills that he has. But he understands consistent. But he understands that sports is a prelim to your development to get you through something. Look, I played basketball over in New York City. I knew I wasn't going to be no pro, but I needed enough resources or scholarship dollars so my mother didn't have to pay for me to get an education.
Absolutely.
That was my goal. And I walked away from school with no loans and everything based upon my athletic ability and based upon people believing in me that I could do this, play this sport and get an education. And to walk away after 4 years or 5 years without education, to me, you've wasted time that you can't get back. So that's another piece I tried to get across to these young men and women. Time is something you can't get back. I can get another shirt, I get another suit, get another car, get another girlfriend. People get other more wives, but you can't get time back.
Absolutely.
You're only going to be like a young man was talking to me today. He comes by and talks to me all the time. A young man who's on our lacrosse team, who started out as a walk-on, and I was so proud of him too. He started out, came in, wanted to play football, wasn't really ready to compete at that level, but he was consistent, talking to the coaches. Now he made the practice squad. So he was so happy. He's made the practice squad. He's getting bigger. He's ready defensive end. He's so happy. And that's the whole thing. You see these people germinate. You look at grass. Grass starts below the ground.
Yeah.
You can't see it. You plant a seed, but every year you water it, it comes back.
And that's the blessing of a lot of things, And when we talk about financials for the athletic department, and we talk about planting seeds, I look at this as planting seeds because the message is even if you didn't attend an HBCU, you can still donate to an HBCU near you. There's always a need, and it only takes one person to plant the seed, and it only takes another person to come by and water it, right? So when we talk about the seed planting, then my next year I wanted to shift to was alumni. My plea to alumni: give back to your universities. Even if it's $1, every dollar adds up. If every HBCU graduate gave $1, we'd be a whole lot more in the positive than we were the day before. So it's not like there's an ask for your life savings. It's an ask for a contribution, a love contribution, because like you said, at the end of the day, the reason why another thing is that the reason why it helps is because a lot of those schools that we talk about, the funding that they get, they're able to put into their universities to make their stadiums bigger, so it's more attractive. And understanding something that you said, that when it's attractive, players are drawn to attraction, regardless of what level it's at. They're drawn to that attraction. So Bowie State deserves that attraction as well, because they have not only proved it athletically, but academically as well.
We live in a very visual world. I mean, because of social media, you can see everything. Everything is instantaneous. It's not like you're not going to take a picture and it's got to be in a newspaper and you got to read a story and then it gets out west 10 days later. Everything is this live. It's right then and there. It's in their hand. It's viable. These ain't a phone no more. It's a mini computer, man. It's no phone. Phone is the least of it right now.
Right.
Games and this and information. So yeah, they want to be in a space where they can say that I went to school there. Why do you think all those people go to these football games? There's 80,000, 100,000 people in a football game. They're jumping up and down because I was in the stadium jumping up and down for my school. And we want to have that same type of feeling right here at Bowie State University. So the funds we try to achieve through the alumni. Now I'm going to talk about our alumni here. They're great. We got a lot of old alumni who are very proud of this university. And they have made me understand the value of what they went through. When it was a normal school, when it was Bowie State College, when it became Bowie State University, how they've seen you come back on campus, that people that haven't been here in years, and they go, man, this place is totally different, man. And they take a real big pride in it. It's something we have to teach, and this is what VP Swin has taught me, and you mentioned it. It's not how much you give, it's how often you give.
Yes.
It could be $1, $5, and that helps our contribution rate when we talk about these people, how many people are contributing, we have to teach people how to give. You don't have, if I say I need $1,000, you don't have to give me $1,000 right there. You give me $100 a month. You spend more than that at Jack in the Box or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
So you're just shifting how you spend money if that's where you want to be. And every dollar that we get athletically, I want to show people where it went to. Like this room before you came in, it didn't look like this. But I don't even say dollar, whatever penny I get,
Yeah.
I'm going to utilize it to the best of its ability to make sure that it gets the outcomes. First of all, people talk about ROI, return on investment. Before I get to an ROI, I need a ROE. I need a return on effort. What is my return on effort to get me a return on investment? So talking to people, getting out with these alumni chapters, getting them on campus. We got some great alumni chapters, some great folks who are really stepping up and trying to help this university, and we're very proudful that I'm working on my dissertation, trying to become a Bowie Bulldog myself in my doctorate program. It's a lot of work, but well, thank you. I got to this point, man. So hopefully I'll finish and go across that finish line.
You will. You speak everything into existence.
I'm trying, yes, and I hope from your ears, from your mouth to God's ears, and He's out looking down on me. He said, "You can do this, boy." He smacked me in the back of my head. Come on, boy.
It's yours. It is yours. I want to say to the alumni that I know, I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of alumni, including the tailgate squad, Teese and Gene and Cole. Want to reach out and want to come up with an idea of ways that we can really advocate and really get a continuous, a committed, a dedicated, and effort in how we can help raise money for the athletic department. Because it's deserving. Like when you talk about the campus and you talk about when you walk on campus, when I was here in 2000, granted, I didn't get to finish because I was in my own way. And I can say that now. I wasn't big enough to admit that before. I was in my own way. I couldn't play baseball no more because, the program got cut. So for me, sports was my driving effort for education. I did what I needed to do because I always wanted to be on the field, which was backwards. So when you talk about it, I love your passion about it because it's something that I wish that I did the opposite of. I'm grateful for where I am now. God doesn't make a mistake because even though I may not have graduated here, my love and passion for Bowie State has never wavered. So when I come on campus, because I was in Towers, we used to be able to drive down that street to unload. So now, and Haley was a brand new building my freshman year. So just to look at the campus now, I'm talking about, it is marvelous. It is absolutely marvelous. And any students out there who are looking for a university, educational institution first, Bowie State is it for you. You have the resources. It is community driven. You have, Zion. I see Pastor Battle down at the practice field sometimes watching the football team. I know that they have contributed lunches and stuff during summers. Like, it's a community environment. It's a community university. The pool is open to the public on certain days.
Every morning.
So it's like it's not just for the students. It is for you as well. So I implore everyone. I implore you to look deeper into your level of understanding of HBCUs and step out on, like they say in church, step out on faith, understanding that these kids need it, they deserve it. Your children or grandchildren, you will want someone to do it, for a loved one of yours. So why not be a blessing to someone else? It's always real, man.
Reverend Pitch right here, y'all. You'll hear it. This from the pulpit up in here.
Like, it's always love. This is going to be this is not the last. Like I said, we are going to be doing a lot of coverage within Bowie TV Sports on Bowie State University. And I wanted to start first with Mr. Doughty Jr. first as the athletic director. But coming soon is going to be, you're going to get interviews with all of the coaches from every different team and also players alike. It's just the beginning, but we definitely want to try to get this thing rolling in the support of Bowie State HBCUs when it comes to making sure that we are supplying the demand and the needs for our student athletes.
Hey, when you get to an end, You got to start at the beginning. And when you get to that end, it's the new beginning. You got to start all over again. So that's where we're going. So this is Pitts and Push, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. This is Bowie State University, Bowie Bowl, and Bulldog Strong. And don't you ever forget.
It's your boy Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. You heard the man, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live. Thank you for joining us.
We out.